full-size sheet pan. Look at those beautiful tomatoes out of the garden. Absolutely gorgeous. And I've got a whole bulb of garlic here. I am going to, and you can follow the directions from the Ball canning book. I'm going to drizzle olive oil, and this is garlic infused olive oil, so that's why I'm only using 1 bulb of garlic. We're going to oven roast this. Oh, pan roasted. And then the onions, because I don't have room for them. And always, always follow an instruction video, and then double check your resources. So you know what? You do it the right way. So my onions are right here. I've got 1 large yellow onion and 1 medium white onion. And then I have some chopped onions in the fridge that need to be used up. But all you're gonna do is simply salt and pepper, and use the salt to your discretion. This is gonna let the skins, and I cored these tomatoes and cut them in half. So the cores are out. We're gonna pull the skins off when they come out. I'm gonna cook this down tonight because I have to do it after work. So I'm gonna cook this soup down tonight, and then tomorrow night I'll heat it back up and I will can it. It's gonna can in the pressure canner once it comes up to pressure for my altitude for 60 minutes. So that's why tonight's not a good option. So pepper, I love black pepper. I don't mind if it gets stronger in the canning process. So we're gonna, lots and lots of pepper. Love it. This is my grandson's favorite soup. When he comes over and I say, can I make you something to eat? And he goes, do you have any of that soup? And it doesn't matter what time of the year, but I want to put as much of this back on my shelf for this winter as I possibly can out of the garden. So in this pot are my grilled onions, chicken broth. That's 1 quart of chicken broth or stock, and this is stock. So, or no, this is broth. Sorry. Anyway, and 1 cup of Chardonnay. You want a dry white wine, and then we're gonna come over here. And voila, that's what you want to see. You want to see the skins are going to slip right off. These have got to cool, but look at that. It's going to pull right off. So once these cool down enough, and you don't want to get rid of any of the juice, any of the olive oil that's in there, I want all of it. And those garlic cloves will pinch right out of there, and you're going to have oven roasted garlic, which is sweet. Sweet. So right. Here's my soup. My tomatoes, I got the skins all off, and my onions are in here, as you can see. So we're just, and the roasted garlic, just the garlic cloves pop right out. It was roasted, oven roasted, so sweet. And it's gonna be a sweet, look at that, big garlic clove. It'll be sweet in the soup. It will not be pungent or strong. So I've got my basil here, and this is all just freshly picked before I can it, because I'll be pureeing that in together. But before, when I heat it up tomorrow, I'll probably add a few sprigs of
I wasn't
fresh
quite
basil.
ready, but I've got, my first jar is full. 1 inch of headspace. Wipe the rim of your jar. Very important. Now, we don't need a magnetic wand. I've got Tattler Lids. Every jar is going to be Tattler Lids, because trust me, this is going nowhere. So you position, and I've marked my gasket. This is the first time I've used this gasket, so I've got a Sharpie mark on it. And oh, these jars are hot. I've got my jars washed and rinsed. So you tighten, and then you come back 1/4 of an inch. That's my instructions. My jars have been washed and rinsed, and they're resting in the pressure canner full of the water with a splash of vinegar, and I just dump them out and bring them over here. So this one goes in the canner. Look how beautiful that is. Now, I heated this soup back up from last night. I added another big bundle of fresh basil from the garden, probably a 1/2 cup chopped up or more. And I had some onion that I meant to put in there, so that went in there. And then I put the immersion blender to it. So this goes in the canner to wait for the rest. I'll grab another jar, and this one's half full. We don't want to thermal shock our jars, so it's all good. I'm dumping the water out of that jar and going, bringing it over. It's hot. I put soup in that one to keep it warm, and then we're gonna fill to an inch of headspace. All right, inch of headspace, maybe a tad more. And like I said, tomatoes tend to, oh, those jars are hot. Tomato products tend to siphon. They get really hot, if you've ever noticed, even in the microwave. So I'm gonna pull this over. I grab my tongs, get my Tattler lid, and that's hot. This one has 2 marks on it. I don't know if you can see. See the 2 little marks? That tells me it's, I just put the second one on there. This will be the second canning session for this lid. When they get to 10 or they fail, I toss them. But they pay for themselves, you guys. Right now we have a lid shortage. It's not a good thing. So look at that beautiful tomato basil soup. And oh, it's so good. Roasted tomato basil soup. All right, in the canner it goes. I'll be back. Maybe I'll fast forward. Okay guys, so you know I normally take my jars out of the canner for you after they're done canning. So I'm going to tell you what happened. And I posted this on the community post that there was a epic, well, I didn't say epic, but there was a Tattler lid fail. Actually, I had 2, I don't consider a jar not sealing a fail because that happens with button top lids as well. So I've been using Tattler lids for well over 10 years, and I take that back. It's been about 9 years. So, but I use them all the time, mainly for the stuff that I know I'm not going to give away or share with family members that may not return them to me. And I always had them in case of a lid shortage, which we're having right now. So we're having a shortage on a lot of stuff, but that's going to be for another video. My next video, I'm talking about the 4-corner pantry, okay? And we're going to chat about all kinds of stuff. And so I know you guys like that stuff. Well, so anyways, my canner does, and I said in the video that it was going to go for 60 minutes, but that was if I did quarts, which is what I did last time. So that was in my memory. But I always double check my timing with the canning book, and it's 50 minutes for pints once you get it up to pressure. And for my altitude, it's 10 pounds. Once my 50 minutes was up, I turned the burner off, and I walked from there to my dining room table, and I heard a pop, and I thought, well, that's weird. I've never had that happen. Now, if you had thermal shock, you'll hear a pop, but it's usually in the early stages of a canning session, and the bottom of your jar will pop out. That's a thermal shocked jar. I know that it wasn't the case because the jar didn't break, but I have no idea, and I gotta wait till the canner comes down off of pressure. And so I wait, and I take the lid off, and there's tomato soup everywhere, all over the other jars, in the water, on the top of the lid of the canner. And I'm like, what the heck happened? Well, one of the Tattler lids, and I believe that if I go watch the footage, I would see it, but in my mind's eye, I remember going, I hope I backed that one lid off. So you tighten them down, and then you back it off 1/4 of an inch. And I don't believe that I tightened one of those lids down. So what happened was when it tried to vent during the cooling process, your jars are venting, and air, they're still expanded, and they're pushing air out of there. And then as they settle, everything settles down, and it creates a vacuum. Well, if you crank those lids on too tight and they aren't allowed to vent, and the gaskets on a Tattler lid are very thick,
And now I have a jar that should buckle. If it was a button top, it would buckle. But in this case, it blew the, the ring, and rings loosen up during pressure canning. It blew the ring and the lid off and made that sound when it hit the top of the canner lid. So anyway, needless to say, I had a mess, and now I wish I would have taken a picture so I could post it, but I didn't. Trust me when I tell you there was tomato product everywhere. And I also said in the video that, you know, tomatoes are famous for siphoning. And because I was so anxious to get these out of the canner and see what happened, I shouldn't have opened the canner as soon as it came down off of pressure. I always let it rest and, you know, get the lid cattywampus, and I didn't do that. And one of the jars vented and it didn't seal. So I had that one for lunch today. But I then, you know, I tightened the lids on the jars and let them sit overnight, and they were disgusting. I put them in a sink of soapy water, but these puppies are sealed down. You can see the gasket is pushed down and squished outside. I mean, that's a good seal when you have that. I always have really good luck with Tattlers, so to me this isn't a fail, it's a learning experience, but I want you to know that it can happen. I've never had that happen. I have had, I mean, we've all had, well, maybe not all of us yet, but if you're going to can for any length of time, you're going to have jars that get a thermal shock. You're going to have stuff like this happen, and if you use it as a learning experiment and try to figure out what might have happened, then you're that much further ahead. Does it mean I'm not going to can with Tattlers ever again? Heck no! I'm going to can all the time. My next canning session will have this many Tattlers in it. But today I'm going to can up the rest of that soup, and I'm using button top lids only because I really want to get this done. It's after work. It's got to can for 15 minutes. My jars are in the hot canner like they were last night, so I will post a picture on the community page of all the end result of this one batch of this beautiful roasted tomato soup. It is absolutely delicious. Everyone in the break room was drooling over my soup today, and I wanted to share, but I was like, nah, there's not enough. So, perfect serving size. And as you can see, like, my headspace is not what I would prefer. I always have perfect headspace. I'm very proud of that. But when it comes to tomato products, I just go, okay, you gotta treat them very gingerly and let them come down so slow. So this batch should have really good headspace. All right, guys, I can't wait to see you next time. And I'm sharing this because I want to be real with you. I don't want to pretend that nothing happens in, you know, in a canning kitchen, because it does. Is it a disaster? No. Does it mean I'm not going to can anymore, or I'm never going to use Tattlers? No. I love my Tattler lids. And right now, they are, I could probably, I mean, Tattlers should be flying off the shelf because you can actually get them. In my area, you can't get a 12-pack of lids anywhere. You can buy 2 dozen, so a dozen in a box of lids and rings, limit 2. Or you can buy a flat of jars with lids and rings on them. There's no lids to be found. So, you know, in times like these, I think it was good for me to stock up. I have enough Tattler lids to do all of my jars for the rest of my life. So, yeah, I wouldn't hesitate to invest in that, to have it as a backup. These jars aren't going anywhere. They're going to work with me to lunch. They're going to lunch with me. Delicious. All right, enough babbling on, and I'll see you in the next video. I can't wait. I hope if you're not a subscriber, you subscribe to my channel and you hit that thumbs up. Share it on your social media to send more people my way. I so appreciate that. Down below, I'm going to try to share a link to my 10.1 All-American canner. It's a little Cadillac. It's my favorite. It's lightweight. It's great for small batch canning. You can get 7 jars if they're regular mouth in that little canner. In the large canner, I can only get, what, 8 or 9. So it's a little workhorse, or 4 quarts. All right, guys, we'll see you next time. I got to get you canning. Bye.